This is 1977 308 GTB carburettor. It's one of the early cars. There's lots of things on this that have carried over from the fiberglass cars, like it's got bonded rear windows instead of rubber in, it's got the pole to hold the bonnet up. You know what I'm like, I can be anal on these things and talk for England. So it's an early steel left-hand drive hardtop GTB, but the difference is this has only got 17,000 kilometres on the clock. So we've known this car about 2015. We were involved with this car. It came from Italy, and the story is that it was owned by a guy who had a Fiat dealership, and he managed to get this from Ferrari, and he kept it in the corner of his showroom just as a sort of ornament, and it sat there for years. One of our clients bought it. It came up for sale and we bought it. It was originally silver, and he didn't like silver, so we painted it red for him. So this was done back in 2014, 2015. We painted this car. It went to Salon Privé. It won an award there. It's been pretty much sat in storage, hasn't had much use, and it's time to move it on, basically because it doesn't get used very much. So he said, look, let someone else enjoy it. So I thought I'd go around this car with you today and show you the difference between a good car and a really nice car, because this is a cut above the rest. There's not many cars out there with 17,000 kilometres on the clock. The question we always get asked is, how reliable is the mileage on these cars? Yes, it's 40 years old. Has it got 17,000 kilometres on, what's that, sort of 8 to 10,000 miles? It's not very many. So we start to look at the car. We're going to put it on a hoist later so you can see round it, and we go through the obvious bits on 308s, but you start to look at the condition of the inside of this car. I mean, these are all original trims, and I'm looking around thinking, yeah, this is all original, that's original. You can tell when cars have been restored, and this car has got a lot of original features, and it's not worn, it looks right. They're not. These cars can sometimes be a bit old and tatty now, and this one's not. A really good way to get to know a car is when we put them on a hoist. We see lots of things that other people don't when you start to get these things off the ground. So we're looking at this one, and you can see, obviously we've already mentioned it's got the original shallow front spoiler. The deeper front spoiler was an option. This is how they came originally. The other thing on this is looking at the paintwork, where these go on the body. We know where these rot. We've all looked at these enough, and 308s are renowned for rotting this little panel out here, this little front section. The water gets in behind, and you can see there's not a lot wrong with that. Also, the bottoms of the doors just always go. That's where the rot starts, and the line of the seals, they go. The other thing on this, where it is in such good condition, is the black line. So we've got lovely doors, lovely seals, the lovely D panels. The black line's all painted in. Sometimes I've seen them done with electrical tape, I've seen them done with sort of just black tape. These are all been painted. So they're all painted in lines as they should be. And obviously you can see the shut lines down the door on this are pretty bang on. Sometimes these are all a bit wobbly. This is why we're doing this video on this car. This car is above the rest. And then the door lines, the shut lines, the seals, everything. It's very nice. Something else that this car's got is the wheels. Now, they came with 6.5s from original. This has got the fatter upgrade, so it's got 7.5s on it. But we've still got the original wheels with the cast. It's really nice to have the original components that have been taken off the car, and this doesn't happen very often. So the owners kept these, and these are all, we've got all 4 wheels. They've all been stored in these little bags. in these little vacuum packed bags. So in there is the original, still got the original writing on Campagnola 6.5 with the Ferrari, not stickers, they're all the original paintings. So we've got the original wheels that go with the car. So this is one of the reasons this car starts to stand out from the crowd. Looking through into the inside of the car, obviously we've got the spoiler, which is lovely here, and the sort of underpan that's not all damaged and smashed like they tend to get. The grill's all the original, it's got nice screws, the bumper all fits nicely, the line of the bumper. We've got the original air horns here. They've still got the original anodised coating, and this is extremely hard to do. We've struggled to do this on concours cars over the years. It's very, very hard to reproduce. Original cooling fans with the plastic fins on them going through to the air conditioning thing, and it just all looks very nice and original. It's in lovely, lovely condition. Looking around the car generally at this height, it's a good height to look at. You can see all the way down the side of the car. You can see the door lines. You're looking at the grills and the headlight, the pop-up headlight lines and the bonnet lines. It's all nice and symmetrical and square on this car. The panel along the front's all in nice condition. It's just nice and sharp and just right. If we open the door, everyone always looks underneath doors on cars. So you're looking in the door skins here, the crimping of the door skins. Door skins crimp round by about 10 mil. So we're looking at the crimpings and they're all lovely. You can feel with your finger, they're not too fat. Beautifully done. The condition of the doors, going underneath the doors all through here. Again, these cars just rot out. But as we mentioned earlier, this had a very cosseted for a few years of its life. So it hasn't got some of the problems other cars have got. Looking through the car, I always look at things in a different way. I'm looking through underneath the pedal box and into the wiring and that there. It's all nice and original, hasn't been got at. You usually find there's some mobilisers or something's been in there. It's had a life. This one is just so clean and tidy. One of the all-time classic things of the 308 is the single outlet exhaust. I've spoken about these before. It's nice to see one, and again, this is a nice original one with the twin cylinder silencer setup and the single outlet. I think practicality wise, they look beautiful and original. I think they do struggle to get the 3 litres of air out of single hole. When you lean on these a bit, they do whistle. It's just purely trying to get the 3 litres of air out fast enough, but they do look really cool. And it's not often you see cars, most of them are upgraded to the 4 outlets, which leaves you this funny little mouse hole. Some people fill in, some people leave, but it's nice to see one that's actually got the original exhaust. Again, going around the back of the car, the lights are in beautiful condition, the horse badges, sometimes these are a bit tarnished now. It's got the original old style chrome badges on them. Rear bumpers, I think all 308 rear bumpers do tend to droop a bit. They get very hot. The whole of the back of the car gets very hot. These are just plastic, so they do bend a bit. But again, looking around the corners here and all the satin black underneath, all the under panels, these quite often get cracked and broken across this outlet here. It's not unusual to see these either all paint flaking off or they're sort of broken and stuff, but it's got a lovely line. Looking at this level, it's really, really in brilliant condition. So even looking upwards here with the boot shut, you can see this little satin black line. This is how they were originally, but they had this satin black underneath. And again, even looking at the number plate lights, a lot of these have broken and fallen apart. I can tell these are the original ones because they are a little bit distorted. The plastic, it's 40 years old, but normally they're destroyed and they've had copy ones put on, so it's all got the original bits on with a bit of patina to it as well. So now up in the air looking underneath the car, little things you just look at. I'll get my torch out. Little things is that there's a little tag welded onto the exhaust pipe which has still got the original part number on it, so that's a nice touch. Things like this heat shield here that scoops up air, a lot of these have been broken and scuffed and scraped. That's 40 years old and it's nice original. Suspension, it's not concours, but it's had some bushes work done, it's had some bits done, but it's all there and all original. Moving backwards, the engine's quite dry. Fuel pumps, yeah, we've put some hoses on it over the years when we serviced it. Still got, looking up at the ignition system, it's still on its point system. Now that is rare. Most of these have been converted to electronic ignition, but I can see by the layout of the wiring and everything, this is still running on point, so totally original. Tanks in good order. Floor pan, yes, it's got a bit of oxidisation going on, but that's the original alloy floor pan for this car. A little bit of surface rust, but then I look at the seals and think, look at the line of these seals. For 40-year-old seals, they're bang on. Normally these have been curbed or grazed or something. They're in lovely condition.
There's a little bit of surface rust, but crikey, you'd say that's absolutely minimal for something of this age. Again, moving up to the front, got all the right components in, bit of oxidisation here and there, but you know, way above what you'd expect to see on a 40-year-old car. And even under here, normally there's one scuff there. Normally these have all been scuffed and grounded and caught. I mean, this is quite unique, this car.
Okay, so the ultimate test of the car is how well it drives. So this one's been in storage for a while, as was mentioned, so let's go and give it a gentle run and see how it performs. This is literally straight out of storage. I haven't done any pre-running or anything in this car. This has been in storage for a few months now. So I thought, A, it's a good time to just give it a bit of a run, and B, to share it with you guys because it is for sale. And as I always say, we go out of our yard. It is a bit of a bumpy concrete yard, and some cars just rattle and knock. This one's sounding pretty good at the moment. And sometimes you do have to remember that these cars are, no, this is 1977. This is a 40-year-old car. You should buy this and run it as your daily driver because you don't have to pay any tax. But then I can hear you all saying, well, when was the last time you drove yours in? And I must say I haven't driven it for ages. They all stay locked up, all these cars. Put some windows up. Look at that for a 308 window. That's got to be one of the quickest 308 windows you're ever going to see. And it's probably because it's got the original motor and everything in. So this did have a bit of a freshen up. When it first came to us back in about 2015, we did paint it because the owner didn't like silver. And it did have, I think we did all four corners of the suspension and things like that. So it had a bit of a sort of freshen up to get it going, because obviously it spent most of its life doing nothing. But since then it's hardly done any mileage at all. It's become a bit of a sort of museum piece, but I think the owner sort of said, look, no, it can't be a museum piece forever. Let's let it go and let someone else enjoy it. But for a car that's come out of storage for months on a first run, I mean, it's not coughing, it's always driven nicely, this one. It's always been a good one. Left-hand drive, well, there's two stories to the left-hand drive. Some people, you know, it's a bigger market. It does work when I've been on the continent in left-hand drive cars. You think, oh, that does make a lot more sense when you're on the right side of the road, but it's not the end of the world to drive in the UK. But this is feeling really nice. And again, just looking around the car when you're sitting here and driving it, it looks right. It looks like it's been unmolested, original. Like, as you say, I can talk for England on 308s, but you can just tell when this is original. The only other thing that the owner put on is the extension to the steering wheel. It's a little space that you put in. It does give you a lot more thigh clearance, which is quite nice for tall people. If you're sort of 5'11", I mean, I'm 5'11", anyone in the 6 foot sort of size, which this guy is, it just brings the steering wheel towards you a bit. Means your fingers don't quite reach the indicators and stuff, but a small price to pay. Even the mirror's not tarnished. Normally you get in these cars and the mirror, the edges start to go. You get little bits around the edge and everything. I'm looking in the rear view mirror, and the rear view mirror on this is pretty much perfect. And again, other cars that we restore, we've had glass recut and mirrors, glass mirrors recut, take them all apart, replace them all. That one's perfect. On the progression, it's not coughing and spluttering. Brakes are good. It's not even shuddering on the steering wheel that much. Normally when you pull them out of storage for a while, especially on the XWXs and the older tyres, they do tend to get some flat spots and they can wobble a bit down the road. How many 308s do you know that drive like this from stone cold? And that sort of things you think, yes, no, is this a 17,000 kilometre car? Has it only done sort of 10,000 miles or less? I can't remember the exact equation. In 40 odd years. I suppose you can only go on what's plausible, and from where I'm sitting, it could be plausible. I'm looking at down through all the wiper mechanisms and all the little bits, and all the little nuts and bolts are all original. It's fairly nice on the suspension and everything. There's no creaks or groans. As I say, we did do some of the rubber bushes back in the day. Driving like a new car. There's no spits, no bangs, no pops. But no, look, no brake judder. Another thing on the mileage is that these and the Dinos and things, they do sing a bit sometimes. When the drop gears and that wear and the gears wear, you do get singing, and this is very quiet. Very strong pull to it, so I'm not going too mad at the moment. It just feels really, it does feel like a really tight, nice car. So if you want probably one of the best 308 GTBs, one of the nicest I've ever seen, and probably the best on the market at the moment, I would say, you know, without hesitation, give us a call. What we do, we go back down the bypass is quite smooth. We go back down the little side road. There's a little road here that's good for knocks and bumps and things and going slowly. It's responding so well. It's just pulling beautifully. Just as soon as you touch the throttle, it just feels right. It feels really good. So this is still on points, this car, so it's all original. So it is a bit of a historic sort of. This is a concourse job. This one, you've got the standard original single outlet exhaust, no deep front spoilers, original ignition system, original carbs. It's all there. It hasn't been got at all. And I hold my hand up, even with mine. I've done a few little upgrades here and there on it. And this is a real time warp car. Hasn't even got the mirrors on it. And now I know people, we've spoken about mirrors before, they were a factory option. They're not on this car. They're, as I've spoken about them before, you can put them on, but you still can't see very much out of them. They look quite sort of oval, and they look quite sort of 70s, but when it actually comes to seeing what's behind, they're not much good at all. So they're not on this one. Again, just trundling along this little sort of back road that we come back to the unit with, which is bumpy. There's no knocks, no clonks. I still can't believe how fast that window goes up and down. That's going to be one of the best windows of a 308. And everything seems to work. And so we've done absolutely nothing to see. It'll get sort of back in the workshop and have a bit of a service and that. But yeah, sometimes the indicators stick and they don't work. As I always say, there's worse places to be than driving Ferraris for a living, but it's a real pleasure to come out in something like this. A real time warp car. Look at that, it's idling beautifully. All the sliders, they work. Again, I've spoken about these before. They're they're all working beautifully. Switches, yeah, hazards work, fans, yeah. Aircon's probably going to want regassing. See if it blows through cold. Yeah, the handbrake even works. Well, look at that, the aircon's even working. The aircon's coming out cold. Now, I think you're all as surprised as I am. I mean, we all know how fragile the early air conditioning systems are, but it's blowing out cold air, so clearly that all works. What a great car.